Just some ordinary rocks, right? This is what they looked like a couple of months ago, before I started polishing them. I finally have enough now to start moving some along to the next stage of polishing, but first, let's look at how I got here. On a work trip to Reston, Virginia, I took advantage of the opportunity to go rock hounding. These really are just ordinary rocks. You can find rocks like these all over the Lake Fairfax area near Reston. Once I got home, I cleaned them off and loaded them up in my tumbler. After the rocks go in the tumbler, I add rough grit and water. As the tumbler rotates, the grit slowly removes the outermost layers as the rocks rub together. After about a week, it's time to dump it out, clean the rocks off, and do it all over again. With each passing week, the rocks get just a little bit rounder and a little bit smoother. Here, you can see that after just the first week, the rock's edges have started to smooth out and the colors are becoming more clear. After just a week, there aren't that many that are going to be ready to come out and go into holding for the next stage. Most are going to need multiple weeks of rough grit. So once they're clean, they go back in the barrel, add grit and water, and they get back to rolling. Even after a full month, you can see that some of these rocks have indents still. They'll need to keep tumbling if I want them to have a nice, smooth, uniform look. Some also have pockets that can hold on to excess rough grit from this first stage. If I don't get rid of those pockets or clean the rocks really well, they can carry over that rough grit to the next stage, contaminating it and interfering with the polishing process. Eventually, between some of the rocks being ready to come out and losing small layers of material each time, I had to break out my lapidary saw and cut down some extra material that I got from the same place to keep the barrel full enough. I also had to start adding other rocks that I collected from elsewhere that I knew looked different enough that I could keep them separate. These rocks are almost all some variety of quartz. Locally, quartz tends to be a milky or white color, although some of these pieces are more translucent. My favorites, though, are the red. Typically, the red indicates iron staining. Sometimes the entire rock will have red tinting to it, but other times, there's heavy red coloring along these fused fracture lines with limited staining throughout the rest of the rock. I'm a big fan of the spiderwebbing pattern that comes out of those. There's also a significant amount of mica in the area. It's this super flaky material that often falls apart in your hand, so I don't bother collecting any of it to tumble, but you can see that there are some bits of mica inclusions in these quartz. Essentially mica that's been trapped inside. I'm hoping those mica inclusions are going to look especially striking once everything's polished. Here are all of the rocks that have finished stage 1 so far, and that are ready to move on to stage 2. They're all nice and smooth. Normally, I would keep them in water after they finish stage 1, so that any residue that's left over doesn't dry into tiny cracks, but I cleaned these really well, so I'm going to show you how they look when they're dry. As you can see, they're not exactly stunning yet. Once the polishing is complete though, they'll look much more similar to the way they do right now, wet. To me, the slow progress and the knowledge that many of these are going to end up being gorgeous when everything is finished is the fun of tumbling rocks. It takes a lot of patience and time, but in the end, it's definitely worth it. Now that I have some that are ready for the next stage of grit, things are going to move pretty quickly. If you want to see those next stages and the final products, be sure to subscribe.